There we go. All right. Howdy again, everyone. Thank you so much for being here for Accessibility in Aggie Land. My name is Megan Orsag. I'm the Associate Director at the Center on Disability and Development. And Dr. Christy Orr, who is going to be joining us shortly, is from Disability Resources on Texas A&M campus. And so we've come together, our two divisions, departments, to talk about accessibility in Aggie Land, what that looks like and what that is. And so every third Wednesday of the month, we are hosting a webinar in which we are talking about accessibility. And so this one is near and dear to my heart. I first started here at the university in one of these post-secondary programs as one of the program coordinators, and to see where it is now is just wonderful. And we have 4 post-secondary education programs to share with all of you today. And so I will not be reviewing all these with you. We have our either program directors or coordinators with us, but we're going to be talking about Waco with Luis Castillo, HOPS, PAVS, and Achieve. So without any further ado, I am going to pass the microphone over to Luis Castillo. And we are going to get going with his project called Work and College Opportunities, Waco.
Well, we had decided that Dr. Wu would read the slides and I would answer the questions, a Q&A at the end. So does that sound fair?
Perfect. Thank you, Dr. Wu.
Howdy, everyone. I'm very excited to be here. I'm Xuan Jade Wu. You can just call me Jade. I'm the program manager with AgriLife Extension. Louis and I are presenting here on behalf of our program director, Dr. Cheryl Green-Welsh. So first, I'm going to talk about our Waco program. To start off, Waco stands for Work and College Opportunities. Next slide, please. So Waco program is a 5-week program held in the summer for young adults with disability. Participants receive development and instruction in professionalism, self-determination, self-advocacy, teamwork, assistive technology, independent living skills, and other related areas connected to employment and college attendance while participating in a paid work experience. Next slide. Thank you. There are 2 options. You can choose to attend the Waco program. You can attend in-person program, or you can join us virtually via Zoom. And these 2 options are running concurrently. Next slide. Our partners for this unique work and college experiential program include Brazos Valley Center for Independent Living, BVCIL, which provides us with career exploration, employment sites, job coaches, transportation training, faculty and staff members at Texas A&M University help us teach the college level courses. And our mentors for these programs are also Aggies. They lead the evening activities for the Waco program. Center on Disability and Development help us with person-centered planning training. And our program information and application can also be found on CDD's website. Last but not least, we're working with Texas Workforce Commission, TWC, via our services. They are our bridge between work and college, and they help fund the students to participate in our programs, and they support their needs that are not only about work and college. Next slide, thank you. Critical Rehab Center help provide the independent living instructions and IT support for our students. Next slide. So this is our week 1 schedule for the Waco program. We first have orientation and going over what this program is about, and we have mobility training, kitchen safety training as the students start cooking later in week 1. We also have 20 hours vocational adjustment training with BVCIL to get them ready for their practicum in the following weeks. Disability services, they explain to our students how they can support and help our students, how to register for their services, how students can request accommodations for their testing of the college level courses we provide in the program. And we also have orientation to the Canvas, which website, which is the learning platform we use for all the college level courses. In the evening, we have evening activities, and that's when the mentor get to meet their students and develop individualized support for the students and lead the independent living skills training, things like that. We'll go into details in a second about this. Next slide. This is what our week 2 through 5 schedule looks like. In the morning, the students go take the classes, and in the afternoon, they go work at the job site. In the evening, they come back, they cook, they hang out, they study, and so they have some evening activities too. Next slide. Okay, so these are the courses students take for the WACO program. They have a horticulture course, which is a shorter version of garden science. Garden science is a class offered in the horticulture department to non-horticulture majors. It's usually one of the favorite classes on campus. And then we have professionalism class where student gets to learn job-ready skills, professional communication, problem solving, teamwork, how to handle conflict, things like that. And then we have self-determination class where students get to learn what the rights they have, how to make right decisions and choices to improve their quality of life. And we also have a healthy relationship class, and they get the opportunities to audit a Berlin class. They can choose, this year we have intro to speech, art, education, kinesiology, and music, 5 classes student can choose from to audit. Next slide. Brazos Valley Center for Independent Living, BVCIL, helps us with employment. So before students start the WACO program, BVCIL worked with them to conduct a survey and find out their area of interest for their practicum part of WACO. And then week 1, they have 20 hours VAT vocational adjustment training with BVCIL to get them ready for their practicum. And then week 2 through 5, each week they have 20 hours of work, and they get paid weekly or bi-weekly for their internship. Next slide. Cultural night. This is a very fun part for the student too. So after a long day, they get to cook. So we place students into teams, and the teams take turns to go grocery shopping and cook for the whole team. And after that, mentors lead the students to assist them with their, if they have issues with their coursework, or help develop their independent living skills, teach them how to clean up the room, the kitchen, their dorm room, how to do laundry using washer machine, things like that. And they may also hang out, the mentors share their college life experience with the student until they go to bed. That's our cultural night. Next slide. Thank you. Role of our mentors, they support students in class to make sure they are on the same page with the course instructors, helps them with Canvas if they have struggles with that using Canvas for their learning. And they also support the student out of class, help with their orientation to the campus community, encourage them to join student organization. So those are the roles for the mentors. And we also hold parent meeting once a week virtually. That's where we address parents' issue if they have any issue about their concerns about their kids, and we also update them on students' performance during the program, things like that. That's for parent meeting. Next slide. So this is a group picture of the Waco, in-person Waco this year. We also have more than 10 students attending virtually. It was a really, really fun program. It was my first Waco, but I was very excited to be able to join them this year. Next slide, thank you. Oh, okay, so that's the end to Waco. Louis, do you have something to add to Waco program?
No, other than it is a prerequisite for our
Hops program.
flagship vocational college, which is HOPS, Horticulture Opportunities in Plant Sciences. And this has been an amazing program. We have conducted this Waco project now for 8 years now. We'll be beginning our 9th year next summer.
All right, I'm going to move on to our second program, HOPS program. HOPS stands for Horticulture Options in Plant Science, Plant Sciences. Next slide. Thank you. The HOPS program is a 2-semester training program. Waco is a prerequisite for this program. The purpose of this program is to provide instruction and support to individuals with disabilities to gain the necessary skills and experiences in work readiness in order to successfully transition into competitive integrated employment in the horticulture industry. Next slide. So during the fall semester, students take various horticulture courses with hands-on experience. These courses cover all components of horticulture: the science component, art, business, and engineering. We try to have the students exposed to all the components of the industry, so they have many options when they complete the program. Additionally, they take professionalism class, study skills class, transportation training, and other independent living skill classes with BVCIL, and students' schedule mirror the academic schedule of Texas A&M University. Next slide, thank you. Okay, so those are about the fall semester. Then during the spring semester, students take credential training classes and participate in practicum in the field of their choice. So we have 3 career fields that they can choose from: floral design, landscape management, and greenhouse nursery. For floral design, potential career for this track can be wholesale florist, retail florist, freelance floral designer, flower shop manager. They can also be wedding florist, event florist. Yes, these are the potential careers if they choose the floral design track. Then we have landscape management. I'll talk about what the courses they're taking in a second, but for career, they can be landscape technician, landscape specialist, lawn care specialist, irrigation specialist, positions like this if they choose this track. And then the third track we have is greenhouse nursery production. So they can be greenhouse or nursery technician with this knowledge and skills in this area. They can also do plant propagation, plant production, or protection specialist. So these are some of the potential careers for this track. Next slide. Thank you. Our partners with, for these programs are also BVCIL, the university, CDD, and TWCVR services. Thank you. Next slide. This is the fall semester schedule for floral design track. We have next slide showing the schedule for the other two tracks. So students are placed into cohorts based on their selected track, and they attend specific classes to get the knowledge and skills based on industry standards for the specific area. For floral design track, as you can see, they take 5 horticulture courses. They have some courses that are common with the other 2 tracks, but they do have their specialty class, the floral design class and the lab. So the lab is hands-on experience. Students get to create 1 or 2 floral designs each week, and they get to take the design home and share the joy with their friends and family. Other horticulture classes they're taking, so they take basic horticulture principles where they get to learn plant biology, plant identification, and how environmental factors like light, temperature, water, humidity, soil affect the growth of plants. And then they have a plant production course where they get to learn how to grow plants, how to propagate plants in greenhouse versus the field or nursery conditions, how to grow their desirable plants, things like that. Also, we have lab component for this course where student gets to grow lots of plants. Then we have the business component of this of horticulture, retail horticulture, where we get to learn how to develop and manage retail horticulture business. So they learn about business plan, how to do merchandising, marketing strategy, financial strategy, pricing strategy, all of those. So if they want to work at a horticulture business, or they want to start their own business if they desire, with this knowledge, they should be ready. It takes a couple of years to start your own business, but it's really good to learn all components for working in the industry. Next slide. Okay, thank you. This is the fall semester schedule for the landscape management and greenhouse nursery track. So they have their landscape management specialty class. They also take some common classes with the floral design track. For the landscape management specialty class, they learn how to choose, select the right plant for landscape. They ID plants. They learn about landscape installation, how to care for plants, pruning, fertilization, pest control, things like that, and how to do color beds, lots of very fun outdoor activities with this class. Additionally, they take professionalism class. Louis is actually co-teaching professionalism class where he gets to invite industry people to come talk about what are the qualifications they're looking for to work within their organization, how to be successful, what knowledge and skills they're looking for. So we have direct connection with industry people. They also take independent living skills training with BVCIL. You can see on this course schedule. Next slide, thank you. Okay, in the spring semester, that's when students get the credential training and they go practicum or internship. We have updated the schedule, so students will get the credential training on Monday morning and they spend the rest of the week for their practicum. Thank you, next slide. Okay, so credentials, we chose 3 industry recognized credentials. They are all state level in floral design, in greenhouse nursery, and landscape management. The organizations offer these credentials are, so for floral design, and the credential is offered by Texas State Florist Association. And for greenhouse nursery and landscape, the credentials are offered by Texas Nursery and Landscape Association, all state level industry recognized credentials. Next slide. Thank you. So these are some of the pictures from our HOPS 2021. The first picture, the picture on the top left corner, student just did some plant cuttings. Very exciting, beautiful smiles that make us very happy. And then we have, we create floral design in the floral design lab. This is actually our program assistant, Shelby. She was very excited and she wanted to give it a try. So she made an arrangement, and look at her beautiful smile. Then the picture in the middle, students are having their landscape management lab. So this, they are measuring their pace in this specific class. The top right corner, we have a picture of the professionalism class. Shelby Davenport and Lewis are teaching students how to write professionally, professional email. And then the last picture we have is the lab for their horticulture principal. Students were counting how many of the seeds have sprouted. They're very excited to see the plants they grow. Next slide. Thank you. So the supports we provided with the students, wraparound supports, we have individualized the case management. So for each student, we keep record of their performance for college courses, for work and life. So we can see how much they have grown throughout the program and help them develop goals for after the program. We also have mentors, which are Aggies, to help support students in and out of the classes. BVCIL helps us train the students in terms of independent living, transportation, and assistive technology. Next slide. Thank you. Prerequisites. You have to be a high school graduate or equivalent to participate in our programs. We have to complete the WACO application, get accepted first, and you also have to complete the HOPS application and get accepted if you're interested in HOPS. Once you have successfully completed the WACO program, your HOPS application have been accepted, you're good to move on to the HOPS program. So the WACO is a prerequisite for HOPS. Some additional application instruction. Again, participants must be 18 years old by the start of the summer WACO program. It's usually in June, late June. And we're opening up the applications for both WACO and HOPS this next month, in October. And applications have to be completed and submitted by February. We have yet to finalize the specific date, but please keep an eye out for the CDD's website for our 2 programs to find out more about the program and when it's gonna open and close. Okay, thank you. Next slide. Yes, this is a group picture of our HOPS this year. This is the first day of class. Everyone was very excited. Next slide. If you are passionate about plants and appreciate the beauty of nature, just like we do, please feel free to reach out to me or Louis, if you have any questions, you want to find out more about the programs, please feel free to reach out to us. With that, I'd like to thank you for your time. And Louis, feel free to add if you have something about hops and Waco to talk about. Thank
For
you.
just a moment, I would like to let everyone know that hops is a pre-ETS eligible program. Both semesters, class, tuition, and also now housing can be purchased with pre-ETS dollars now and meals.
Thank you so much, Louis, and thank you, Jade. I appreciate y'all's time on this. We have about 14 minutes before we are scheduled for the next session. So I just wanted to ask a few clarifying questions while we have Waco and hops on our minds. And these are questions from the chat function.
Okay,
So the location is on the Texas A&M and the Rellis campus in College Station, correct?
that's correct.
Yes.
And then do students stay in dorms on campus during the summer, during Waco, and then in off-campus dorms during fall and spring?
Yes, during the Waco project, the students stay at Hullabaloo,
Mhm.
which is one of our premier dorms. And of course, they dine in the finest dining halls in the SEC. And they really do love the culture night, which they get to work in teams and create recipes and meals, and you have to go and make sure they get all the ingredients for that. Didn't mean to go off into that, but off-campus housing, we call it, is we have several, like Cambridge,
Mhm.
which is the first stop to and from campus. And then we've got several other off-campus housing we call Callaway House, U Club.
Mhm.
And so there's a variety of housing. Some of our students are staying at the Aggie station, and so yeah, they're just all over. And like I said, with the beauty about this now, because it is a pre-ETS eligible program, housing can be purchased with pre-employment transition service dollars. So
So
I'm very
Louis,
excited about that component.
Louis has his background in VR, which is a huge asset to the program and to families because he can be that connection and to help explain to the rest of us what the pre-ETS dollars are and how important that is. And so, Louis, I had a question about the cost of the program for the families. So
Mhm.
can you share about the cost of Waco and hops?
Waco is $10,400. A little over. It's like 10,460 or something like that for the 5-week. And the beauty about Waco Project and why we make it a prerequisite is because Waco Project is not Camp Kumbaya. It is a intensive 5-week residential work-based learning program. And these students are challenged daily. So if they can complete Waco Project, they're ready for a post-secondary training of their choice.
Mhm. That's right. And Louis, when you say that 10,000 plus per student, how do families reach out about the program? How do they talk to you about funding, about their students working with VR so that VR is the one?
Yes, VR supports this program. So if you do not have a TWC counselor, we can send you a link to self refer yourself, so that will go right directly into your respective region where you live, and you will take, of course, an appointment and hopefully begin services with TWC. And
Thank you. And
Mhm.
Louis and Jade, are all students in Texas welcome to apply for and attend Waco and hops?
It is a statewide program. It is not just for our 7-county region. It is statewide.
Thank you. And there's a question about transportation, especially specific to parking on the Rellis campus. do you provide the students with transportation to and from Relish and their
The
dorm?
thing that I'm actually thinking,
Yes,
There's a bus, Aggie bus that goes to the Relish campus.
right. Bus
how-
47
Mm.
will take our students to Relish and back.
From
And it
MSC.
drops them off right at the front door of the
Of
Ag
the building.
Workforce Building.
Yes, that's where we have the classes.
Yes.
They don't have to walk. It's right
Yeah.
in front of the building.
There's a lot of great questions. I'm gonna try to ask these in the next 5 minutes. So the
Okay.
question is, how many students do you have in a cohort?
Our pilot year, which is our pilot year, we have 10. But our contract is for 15 students.
Thank you, Louis. And what about Waco? How many students are typically participating in Waco?
Well, we kind of busted at the seams for Waco project. It's supposed to be 25. We took 26 or 7 in person. And then the contract allows for up to 15 virtual. We had 10 virtual. And I just want to add that the virtual students that it runs concurrent, like they're in the classroom with our students. So what the beauty about that is the work component with that, which, our wizards over at Brazos Valley Center for Independent Living developed a virtual job component that enabled them to work in a like a hospital, like a clinic. And so their jobs were number one, they were receptionist. Number 2, they were doing on call support, a call line where they would call the
Patient
patients and
support.
ask them how they're doing, and just support them that way. And then what was the third one, Jade? I forget.
Medical billing and coding.
Yeah, medical billing and coding was the other virtual job, and they all received a paycheck for working virtual in that. And also they created a commercial for that health center. So that was really cool. And I'll share that with you later, Megan, so that you can post it on the website.
Okay.
It's a beautiful. They just they wanted to do more and more and more. So they empowered them to allow them to do that. So
I've got 2 more questions. Actually, well, I'm just kidding, 3. One is, can you give me maybe 2 to 3 housing daily supports that are available for the students that maybe those residential mentors provide or the RAs provide?
what like in terms of being able to get them to their prospective housing, their off-campus housing?
I think maybe mainly when the students are in their dorm rooms, what supports do they have as far as the independent living? I'm just making, Lisa, you asked this question, so if you have any follow-up questions to help me clarify, please feel free to type in the chat function. But I'm assuming the independent living type of supports for students that are living in the dorms during Waco.
They learned that through Culture Night at Waco Project, and that's why we make Waco Project a prerequisite so that they can get those independent living skills down before they do move into that setting.
So they might help them with like
The mentors can also help them in that arena as well.
How to clean up their room, do laundry, how to get to the campus from their dorm, off-campus dorm. We had that training week 1, which bus they need to take from their dorm to MSC, then from MSC to their classroom. So make sure they know how to get to the classroom, those type of training.
Thank you. So another question was, who secures the job sites?
For HOPS or for Waco?
Let's do both.
Okay, well, Waco Project is done through the Brazos Valley Center for Independent Living.
Great.
I am the practicum coordinator for HOPS. So I will be securing the practicum site and internship.
Thank you, Louis. And then the final question we have for both Jade and Louis at this time is, can the whole program be paid with pre-ETS funding?
It sure can.
Yes, I would encourage you all, like Louis said, that if your families, your students are interested, Lewis and Jade's contact information is on the screen here. I'll also share links at the end of this presentation. I would encourage you to go to the website, talk to them about connecting with a VR counselor. The earlier, the better you start to have conversations with this. So, all right. And then
Thank you, Megan.
you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Deborah had one final question of how easily can this be replicated other colleges to the state? Definitely a question for Dr. Greenwelch. I know that Jade and Lewis will have plenty to share following their first year of implementation with HOPS, but we're just so excited for y'all and moving forward. So thank you both, Jade and Lewis, for sharing out. We're gonna change speakers, and I am so thankful that Tracy Glass, she is the PAS program director. She's going to be sharing out more about the PAS program for the next 20 minutes. So again, if you guys have questions, please put them in the chat function. If we don't get to them at the end of Tracy's presentation, we'll save them for the end, but we want to get your questions answered. All right, Tracy.
Howdy, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to get to talk about PAS. We have some exciting changes that have been occurring with PAS over the past year. We've been working very hard to identify our students' needs and identify gaps and figure out ways that we can structure our program to fill those needs and gaps. So I'd like to talk to you today a little bit about what PAS is and how we're structured now since we've had so many major changes, and about the application process and everything you need to know moving forward with that. So this is our wonderful team. We have our fearless leader, Dr. Daloon Zhang. He is our center director. And of course, Dr. Megan Orsag, who is a continual support for me in this program, and I'm super grateful for both of them. She is our associate center director among everything else. She wears many hats here. Of course, there's me, the PAS program director, and we have an amazing practicum coordinator, Letitia Tennell, and she is responsible for setting our students up in their practicum placements that first and second year. Later in the first year, and then second year we'll go over the schedule, and I'll talk a little bit more about Letitia's role with PAS and the opportunities that she sets our students up with. We have Jessica Dees, who is our center program manager, and Tanya Baker, who's our communication specialist. So this is our team, and we're growing. We're going to be adding some more folks here soon. We're super excited about, so that page will be changing. So our program focus, folks want to know, well, what is PAS? What is my student going to learn? And so we'll talk a little bit about that. Next slide, please. So PAS is a program at Texas A&M University here in College Station. It's a post-secondary training program for individuals who are interested in training for a career in one of 3 human service fields. We have 3 tracks currently to choose from. We have a child care track if students are interested in working with the little bitty ones in the daycare setting, birth to 5 years old. We have what we call our direct support professional general track. That was our original track that we started out with when PAS was first created. And students learn to work in nursing home settings, assisted living settings, hospice units, or in an at-home environment supporting the elderly. Assisting with mobility needs, accompanying them for community activities, or just basically supporting them with recreational activities or anything else that could lead to a good quality of life for that individual. And then we have our final track, which is a direct support professional paraprofessional track. In this track, students learn to support teachers and other students with disabilities in a K through 12 setting. So they could be expected to do things like assisting with instruction, helping to collect data, escorting students to out classes, basically anything that the teachers and the students need in class. They can learn to help support them with this track. And the track that the student chooses really depends on the environment that the student wants to work in, or the population that they want to work with. And so we highly encourage our students to get volunteer experience in each of these tracks if they can, before deciding which track they want to choose, to make sure that they like it well enough to be able to spend now 2 years studying for that particular track. And so those, you know, who are interested in working with the babies and the little ones, we highly recommend, you know, they get some volunteer experience in that field to see if they actually really like it well enough to want to spend 2 years studying to do it. So next slide. So our program, our saying is we're reaching beyond teaching. We do way more than just teach. We are focused on 3 main areas of growth for our students. Workplace readiness, of course, is one. That's the main one, but we also help the students learn self-advocacy and self-determination skills, as well as independence. So these are 3 main areas that we've identified that the students really need to learn and become proficient in order to be successful in the real world and gain those independent living skills to be able to live on their own, doing their own thing, and you know, just like anybody else. Next slide. So the workplace readiness, with this, we're talking about employability skills. The main goal of our program, the end goal of really any training program for a student, should be employment. We want our students to go to work. We want them out there working and contributing just like anybody else would. So the students will receive a well-rounded education addressing skills necessary for success in the workplace, such as content knowledge. We're going to teach them everything that they need to know about being working in a daycare setting. We're going to teach them everything they need to know about supporting teachers and students in school districts, or everything they need to know for supporting the elderly in nursing home settings. So they'll get quite a bit of content knowledge with the classes that we offer, and we'll go over the schedule here later in the slideshow. Field-based experience. This is, in my opinion, one of the most important parts of our program. There's a lot of academic knowledge and a lot of learning that happens in the classroom, but the real learning happens when you're out in the real world and you're applying that knowledge in a real world setting. And so our students get quite a bit of field-based experience. They get 60 hours for the first year, starting in the spring. And the second year, we really hit it hard. They end up with a total, by the time they graduate, of 480 hands-on hours out in the field. We teach them professionalism skills, how to properly write an email, how to create a resume, a cover letter, all about the job search, and how to dress professional and how to conduct yourself professionally in the workplace. Communication is huge. Our students really struggle sometimes with communication, but you know, don't we all? And so I think everybody could, you know, use some extra skills in communication, but this really helps our students with learning to advocate for their needs and to learn how to properly communicate once they get out there on the job. And then socially appropriate behaviors. Some of our students are socially awkward, and they really struggle with the social aspect of life. And so by being in the program, we encourage them to expand their network beyond their peers in the program, and to make friends outside of the program, and to get involved in organizations and make friends with other people, so that you know, they can get a practice with dealing with a variety of personalities. And so this is the 2 years that they spend with us will give them plenty of practice in being able to do that. Next slide, please. Self-advocacy is huge for our students. Many times they've had someone to always step in and speak for them. And in this program, they learn to find their own voice, and they learn how to use that voice. So self-advocacy and self-determination are 2 huge pieces of our program for use both in the classroom and in the real world. Knowing themselves, knowing what their needs are and how to express those needs, knowing how to get what you need, controlling their own life, and using appropriate and independent decision-making. These are all skills that are critical in addition to the basic skills that they get in employability. Next slide. Independence is huge. Many of our students come to us not only wanting to learn employment skills, but also expressing, I want to get my own place one day. I want to be able to get my driver's license and drive myself to work and to wherever I want to go. I want to live in my own apartment, either with or without roommates, but I want my own place. And so independence is a huge goal for just about every single one of our students. And we have several supports in place to help them get there. Students learn and practice independent living skills like taking the lead in appropriate decision-making. Many times decisions have been made for them in the past, and this is the first time that the decision-making has fallen in their lap for them to make their own decisions and figure out, how do I make decisions? How do I make appropriate decisions? And so sometimes they struggle with that, but ultimately, once they learn that they are in control of their own destiny, then they learn how to appropriately make those good decisions for themselves. Learning how to independently navigate campus and their community. This is huge because the campus is huge. And so students learn how to navigate campus. We have several supports in place with our summer program. The students must go through the summer program. We have a 4-week program in the summer where we teach them navigational skills. So they get plenty of practice using the Aggie Spirit bus system on campus, off campus, and then the Brazos Transit District bus system off campus, and to explore their community. They get a lot of practice with that. Independent time management practice for class and work obligations. Time management is huge. That's another huge piece that our students struggle with sometimes. And so we provide quite a bit of support with our instructional aides and with their advisors. We assign them advisors that they can rely on and work with, that they're required to meet with twice a week, that help them with these time management issues. Of course, independent living skills, they're living in Hullabaloo Hall in the summer, and we have resident advisors that stay there with them that help them with laundry skills and help them with learning to keep their dorm clean, and helping them to develop those time management skills for getting up on time, going to bed at a decent hour so you get enough sleep to be able to function the next day. And so all of the independent living skills, the resident advisors really step up and help them tremendously with those. They also get help from their advisors. If they want to learn and practice some cooking skills, our resident advisors are there to help. Our advisors are there to help. Respect and support for others' independent journeys. Many times, when you put two people together as roommates, they come from two different backgrounds and they've got to learn to get along. And they have to learn to respect each other's differences. And so we make it clear to the students that when you are with us in the summer, you get who you get and you don't throw a fit. So you learn to get along. And that because when they get out in the real world, they're not going to be able to pick their coworkers. They're not going to be able to pick their boss. And so they have to deal with, learn to deal with whoever they have. And so it starts in the summer. We start teaching them early to learn how to get along and to respect each other's differences and how to talk through issues. Next slide, please. So our program format, up until recently, we were a 1-year program. And I'm very happy to announce that we were approved starting with this current cohort that we have now for a 2-year model. I've got pending approval on there. I need to take that off because it is now approved. And this is a sample of our model. So this is a PAS sample schedule. In the summer, like I said, it's 4 weeks and it's very intensive. The students start out with person-centered planning and study skills. We're teaching them basically to be college students. And then as they go through the program, they'll develop their professionalism skills to move more toward learning how to be professionals in the workplace. Healthy Relationships is a partnership that we have with Health and Kinesiology. They've developed this amazing curriculum. It's basically an adult sex ed class. And we found early on that our students are typically left out of these conversations at the K through 12 level. And so we've identified that this is very much a necessity for our students going into the real world. And so it's a wonderful class, and we have Healthy Relationships 1 and 2 to help them tackle things like online dating and consent, and what consent means, what no means, how to keep yourself safe in different environments. We also have budgeting and technology. Community Day is where they practice the bus system and getting around town, navigating. The residential living piece, just living in the dorm on their own, away from their families. We see a lot of growth in our students. They're learning how to do things for themselves that typically someone at home would just pick up and automatically do. And now all of a sudden there's no family there, so I have to do it myself. And so they learn a lot of these skills. Self-determination, we do require them to also go to the Brazos Valley Center for Independent Living to take classes to work on some of their short-term goals that they set for themselves at the very beginning of the program. We have entrance wraparound meeting at the very beginning when they're accepted, and students will set goals outside of the goals that they want to accomplish with learning the skills for their particular track. And that's where the BVCIL classes come in handy. They can also take classes at Workforce Solutions as well. So they have those two options open to them. And tutoring. We offer tutoring. We typically have a class starting in the fall called Independent Study, where students are required to go. It's not an actual class, but they are required to go, where they sit with the instructional aides and they work on homework. It's a dedicated time for them to set time aside to work on homework and to get the help that they need. So in the fall, we have Person-Centered Planning 2, Study Skills 2, Healthy Relationships 2, but this is where they start their content class. This is kind of an intro to content, kind of get your feet wet, so to speak, with the content class that's to come in the spring. Communication Through Movement is a class designed to teach students to respect personal space. And there's a lot of psychology behind this class. It's a very interesting class. Library instruction and media literacy. Students learn how to use the library for a resource to help them with their schoolwork. Residential living, of course, they'll be living off campus in an off-campus dorm anywhere in College Station or around that they want to live. So if they want to live in their own townhome, that's fine. If they want to live in a dorm with the rest of their friends, that's fine. Wherever they want to live, but it's going to be off campus. The independent study class I mentioned, of course, BVCIL class, and they start their professionalism classes. In the spring, it's a little bit lighter because we add field-based experience on there. So they have fewer classes, but they have their work hours that are going to start this semester. So for the summer and fall, the students are learning to become college students. They're learning their responsibilities. They're learning navigation skills. And then in the spring, we hit them with the work-based learning. And so we have our practicum coordinator, Letitia, who sets them up. She has developed many partnerships around town to set the students up. She'll interview the students and work with them to find out exactly what their needs are and what their goals are for themselves. And she tries to pair them up with just the right partner who will work with them to accomplish those goals and to set them up with what they need. And of course, we have the content class, and then we have residential living, or independent study skills, and BVCIL and professionalism for spring. So that's year one. It's heavy on the academics and light on the hands-on experience, the field-based, work-based learning. For year two, it's they still have quite a few classes, but it's heavier on the practicum. So for the fall and spring, in the practicum, it's 210 hours clock hours that they need to get in order to satisfy the requirement for their certificate. And so they still get the independent study, the residential living, the BVCIL classes. Closer toward the end of their program, we have a new class called Next Steps, and it's employment readiness. So we'll be working heavily with them to complete job applications and to get their cover letters tailored and their resumes in order for them to start applying for jobs. Our goal is that by the time they graduate, they'll have a job lined up, but if not, then they'll at least have a really good jump on the job search process by the time they're through. So this is pretty much our schedule, and I can't say that we won't be adding some things to this as we go along, but we're very happy with it. It kind of builds on their skills as they go along. We kind of ease them into the program, and then they start building on those skills as they go into year 2 up to graduation. We usually see a lot of growth in year 1, but now that we can have them for 2 years, I'm very excited to see the level of growth that we see after 2 years. So here's some statistics that folks typically ask us about. Next slide, please. These are graduation and employment rates. As you can see, our graduation rates have improved and increased dramatically. For our 2021 cohort, we had 100% graduation rate. Of course, our 2021-23 cohort is in progress. Our employment rate, our most recent survey that we took showed that our 2012 through 19 PAS graduates that were employed was 70%. Several of our students left the program with jobs upon graduation. They already had employment lined up, and all of them have submitted applications for jobs prior to graduation. That is a requirement and something that we work on in that Next Steps class. So application requirements, I'm going to go over eligibility and checklist real quick. Next slide, please. The students must meet the following criteria to be eligible to apply. They must be at least 18 years of age by the time the program starts. They don't have to be 18 to apply, but they must be 18 by the time the first day of the program starts. They must be their own guardian. We're training students to be independent, and students we've discovered do not achieve as much independence as they could when someone else is their guardian telling them what to do and making decisions for them. So we work with families on guardianship, and we talk about these things. Many families have supported decision-making. They've opted for supported decision-making in lieu of guardianship, but these are conversations that we can have if you're curious about it. They must have graduated from high school or have a GED in order to apply, and they must be able to pass a criminal background check, because all of our tracks are in human services. Every single place that they apply, in a school district, in a daycare, in a nursing home, is going to require them to be able to pass the background check. So next slide. So application information, you can apply online at pas.tamu.edu. Choose your track, whether you want to be a direct support professional in the general track, or direct support professional, paraprofessional, or a child care professional. Applications will open again in November of this year, and acceptance letters will be mailed in April of 2022. Next slide. We have a checklist of items. The application checklist will be included on the application when we open that link up, when we put it on our website. And I believe the application checklist may even be on our website right now. They've revamped our website, so we lost a lot of information. We're working right now to put all of that information back on there. But we do require a fully completed online application, an application fee of $50, transcripts from all high schools and any post-secondary training places. Please send those transcripts in as well. We require a completed essay, and we have specific essay questions that need to be answered. The more detailed, the better. 2 online references. Make sure your references are very good references, and that they take the time to give us details about you. A resume and the latest IEP if you have one, behavior intervention plan, if you have one, your FIE, full individual evaluation, and a psych eval, if applicable. If any of the above are missing, the application will be incomplete and will not be considered for review. Next slide, please.
Tracy, I'm gonna put your, excuse me. I think too far ahead. I'm gonna put Tracy's contact information and the PAS website information. And presenters, if y'all would take some time to share your email addresses and your websites in the chat function too. Sometimes it's easier for people to copy and paste. That would be super helpful. And that way they can reach out to you. Again, if y'all have questions, we're gonna be able to answer some of those at the very end of the presentation. But I wanna make sure and give Dr. Gilson some time to share out hers. So thank you again, Tracy, so much for sharing about PAS. We're so
Thank you.
excited about it being a 2-year program. That's a huge accomplishment.
Thank you.
All right. And so our next presenter is Dr. Carly Gilson. She's going to be talking a little bit more about Aggie Achieve. And again, if you guys have questions, please put them in the chat function and we will get to them at the end of the presentation. So Dr. Gilson, I'm passing the microphone to you. Carly, I think I'm having a hard time hearing y'all. Can y'all hear Carly? Would y'all give me a thumbs up if y'all are able to hear her? Y'all can't hear her?
I can't.
Okay, Dr. Gilson, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, wonderful.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. Sorry, I needed to disconnect from my monitor for some reason. Sorry about that.
It happens to the best of us. Thank you.
All right. So howdy, everyone. My name is Dr. Carly Gilson. I am the faculty director for Aggie Achieve. And I'm also an assistant professor of special education in the Department of Educational Psychology at Texas A&M. So I'm housed in the same department as the Center on Disability and Development as well, and an affiliated faculty member with the CDD. And I'm the faculty director, which means that most of my work is advising the program staff and overseeing the program director and other full-time staff members and graduate assistants. I also lead the admissions process and oversee the research and fundraising for Aggie Achieve. And then we're in the process of hiring for a brand new program director who will run the program and oversee the day-to-day functions of the program starting in January of 2022. Okay, so these are our students. We are in our 3rd year. The Aggie Achieve was launched in fall of 2019, and we currently have 20 students. Aggie Achieve is a 4-year program. So each year we welcome a new cohort. Our first cohort was 5 students. The second cohort was 7, and then this most recent cohort is 8. So each year we're incrementally increasing our cohort sizes. When we're running at full capacity, we'll be welcoming cohorts of about 10 to 12 students each year. Our students come to A&M for 4 years. They are fully enrolled at Texas A&M as non-degree seeking students. And so they spend a lot of time on campus. They live on campus. They take Texas A&M coursework, and you'll see, like, based on these pictures, they're fully integrated into all aspects of campus life, whether that is attending football games, attending classes, joining student organizations, volunteering in service, attending study hall, going to the library. They're all integrated into those activities. Next slide. So Aggie Achieve has 2 key parts of our mission. The first is to provide an inclusive and immersive college education for students with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So I want to spend some time on each of those two words, the word inclusive. Everything that our students do, they do alongside their peers without disabilities at Texas A&M. So they live on campus, they take coursework at Texas A&M University, they are considered non-degree seeking students, which means that they pay the same student fees as any other undergraduate student, which gives them access to all of the other components of our campus, like library, IT, ID card, meal plan, things like that. And the second piece of that, similar but a little bit different, is immersive college education. So that means that our students are, a lot of times when we talk about inclusion in special education, inclusion is seen as like physical presence and like a checkbox. You know, if somebody is physically in the room, then we can consider that this is an inclusive classroom. We see that a lot in K-12. And Aggie Achieve goes much deeper than that. And our goal is not only that our students are physically included in college life, but that they are immersed in college life at Texas A&M, that it uniquely aligns with what they want to do after they graduate. So they have a very similar process to declaring a major, declaring a specialty area, and then they take coursework related to that area. All of their internships, all of their student organizations, everything that we do is designed with them in mind. And so we don't have much that's very prescribed for all students, but rather we try to individualize each aspect of the college experience to be what the students are most interested in and what aligns best with their goals. So what that means is our students are then able to fully integrate into campus life with whatever types of activities, strengths, interests they have. And then the second part of our mission, which is equally important, is that we're very outcomes driven. So our goal is that all of our students will leave with employment in the community that aligns with a job of their choice, that is putting them on the path to be a successfully contributing member of the community. And so the program is structured with really these two pillars of our mission in mind. So it's 4 years total. The first 2 years are designed to introduce students to college life. So in addition to taking classes at Texas A&M, they're also taking like the Hullabaloo U freshman experience class to first year experience class rather, to learn about study management and study skills. And then we also offer seminars that are focused on independent living, career awareness, and self-determination. And this year, what we've done that's a little different in this area is we used to offer them as like group seminars that they would take as their cohorts. This year, we started doing directed studies, which is just like any directed studies that any other undergraduate or graduate student would take. So it's an individualized course where they meet with one of our staff members to focus on a specific area that they want to develop. So for example, we have a student whose goal is to be able to cook Thanksgiving dinner for her family by November. So, and I don't think she's ever used a microwave. So we've got to really start from the beginning here and go into what all is involved, but that's a goal that is like personally meaningful for that student. And then through these directed studies, we're able to cover so many different topics as well that contribute to these larger ideas of what it means to be self-determined, as many of the other programs today I've talked about. These directed studies can also focus on academic, social skills. We have another student who just wants to learn how to engage in small talk and go on a date, and what it means to like not start sharing your deepest feelings about somebody the moment you meet them, but actually like starting with small talk. So we have directed studies around that. So since the students really have choice in selecting whatever their skill of focal area is, they are very invested in learning these. So all of our students are engaging in those directed studies, and then each semester they'll rotate to a different type of skill that they're focusing on. And then beginning the spring of their freshman year, they start to have employment internships, which I'll talk more about later. But we slowly inch them into employment. Because they're here for 4 years, we have a little bit more time, and we wanted them to get acclimated with their coursework and understanding campus life. So when they're first in their internship setting, they're only spending about 3 to 5 hours a week in that setting. And then each semester they rotate to a different internship site and they start to gain more and more hours, more responsibilities, more ownership at those internships. And the goal is that by the 4th year, our students are engaged in basically a part-time job that's 20 to 30 hours a week, where they are in a setting that either they will continue to be in after they graduate, or a setting that's very similar to where they want to be. And that might even be outside of Bryan College Station. So the first 3 years, all of our students live on campus. And then by that 4th year, they don't need to be in Bryan College Station anymore. A lot of our students want to stay here, but we also have students from all over Texas, and some of them want to go back to Houston, Dallas, or the Valley, or wherever they're from. And so we have staff that are specifically working on developing relationships in those areas so that we can begin like a seamless transition for our students so that they're really well equipped with employment when they leave. Next slide. So how do we do all of this individualized planning? So we use a process called person-centered planning, which I'm sure the other programs talked about as well. And this is at the heart of exactly what it sounds like. So we look at each student and they drive the curriculum. We have a program of study that all contributes to the certificate in interdisciplinary studies that our students earn from Texas A&M University. And on that program of study, the requirements are more so based on like the type of credit hours that they have to complete. They have to have certain foundational coursework, but then beyond that, it's very open to how they want to structure their specific degree plan. So what that means is that each semester, beginning with the time of acceptance, so with the spring before their first year, we start the process called person-centered planning. And that involves a lot of data collection, interviews with the students and family, getting to know who they are as individuals, what are their goals. We do include family input here, but really it should be driven by the students as much as possible. And then each semester, at least once a semester, they have person-centered planning meetings. And these meetings are led by the student, and they can invite whoever they want to the meetings. So it's funny, at the beginning, they say they want to, we ask who you're going to invite. It's going to be my family, my parents, my high school teacher, and then by the 2nd year, we start to see they have a list of everybody they want to invite, and it's like their friends, my professor, my supervisor, my internship. And then we say, well, what about your parents? Do you want to invite them? They're like, oh yeah, I guess they can come too. So it's really cool. You see that like organic growth happen among our students, where they are beginning to be the drivers of their own decision making. And so the first semester, we have 2 of these meetings in the fall. One is coming up in a couple of weeks for our freshmen. That's just like a checkpoint to see how they're doing, because we know that first semester, first year is often a really challenging time for college students. So we established just another checkpoint here for them to see how they're doing, see if anything that they talked about back in April has changed, if they want to change things now that they're actually here. And then we meet again in December, and then again in the spring, to constantly evaluate how are we doing on our long-term goals, and how are we doing with the short-term goals that we want to accomplish for each semester. We find that a lot of our students come in thinking they want to do something and often have limited work experience or limited real world knowledge to know like what are the possibilities out there. And so these evolve over time, and that's a natural part of the process, where as they're exposed to internships and to courses, their idea of what they want employment and what they want their lives to look like after college really changes as well. Next slide. Okay, so coursework, all of our students are required to take 2 courses each semester, at least 2 Texas A&M courses. The first is an academic course that is typically an undergraduate level class that you would think of like those survey level 100, 200 level classes. We have students enrolled across 4 different colleges and almost 15 different departments. So everything from entomology to theater history to education to now we have film studies, we have horticulture, animal sciences, really all over. We're trying to get plugged into as many university or colleges and departments as possible on campus. But I should note that like our students don't just have like the whole catalog at their disposal. So we have to go through a process with the registrar in order to get a course approved. And so at this point, we can't say that, you know, students can take literally whatever they want. That's my goal, but we're not there yet. Right now, how it works is we do a lot of recruitment with faculty on our campus to try to explain to them what it means to offer their course to an Aggie Achieve student. And then if a faculty member is willing to work with us, they send their syllabus and we, our program staff will look at it. We'll talk about some modifications that we recommend making. So important to note that all of our students have, if they are enrolled in a class, they are enrolled in a modified version of the class. And as such, they cannot receive the same credit for the course as their peers do. So most of our courses are 0 credit. We have a couple that are 1 or 2 credit, but for the most part, the academic classes they're taking are 0 credits. And that's because they follow a very modified syllabus. So what we might do, let's say theater history, they take that syllabus, we modify it pretty extensively, and our students are still enrolled in the class. They're not auditing. So auditing, you often think of like they're sitting in the back of the room just watching. Our students are fully enrolled, but they're enrolled in a different section of it where the requirements and expectations are different. And our students still show their learning and still show mastery of content, but in a different way. So if the expectation is that they're going to write a 20-page paper, our students might do that, demonstrate that same level of content mastery, but do it in the form of a PowerPoint or a podcast or a video or something that still allows them to show that mastery with rigor. So since these courses are modified extensively, they cannot be transferred to another institution or community college or anything like that. And then in addition to the academic classes, our students also take PEAP courses, which is the Physical Education Activity Program in the College of Education and Human Development. And this, we do have wide open access to any of the courses that our students want to take. And there is a wide variety of classes, everything from alpine skiing to bowling to archery to yoga. We really believe in wellness and like promoting health and physical fitness as part of a comprehensive education. And so each of our students take a PEAP course every semester, and they rotate to different courses. They do take those courses for credit, and oftentimes the modifications to the syllabus are minimal. So they are receiving the same credit that any other student would take. Next slide. So as I said, we have a modified syllabus. So after the faculty agree to offer their course, then we develop what's called an independent learning agreement that we have a meeting about before the semester begins. And that just goes over what are the expectations for that semester? What do you expect from the student? And what do we expect from the instructor in return? And then throughout the semester, our staff, we have a graduate assistant right now whose sole focus is on academics. And so she supports faculty members directly in any questions that might arise as the course comes up. We also have study halls for our students where they have support from peer mentors or graduate assistants to work on classwork and just get extra explanation of things outside of class time. We also work really closely with the Office of Disability Resources to provide access to our students, just like any other student with a registered disability on campus. So that's where the accommodations come in play. So if a student has extra time on a test or small group setting, or they have like an e-reader for accessibility, we have a great partnership with Disability Resources to instrument to facilitate that. Next slide. So that's just a picture of our students in the PEAP course. It's basketball. I already talked about that, so we can keep going. Okay, employment preparation. This is a huge part of our program. So our students have internships all over campus right now. And just this year, we're starting to get out of campus and into the community. Some of these pictures include, on the left side there is the Texas A&M Hotel and Conference Center. The rec center is there, MSC, The student in the bottom left in the chef coat was working at Kyle Field in the hospitality culinary division there. And then on the far right, the student is working in the architecture college in a cafe there. And so we go based off of where our partnerships are, as well as what our students are interested in. So we have a lot of students who are interested in hospitality and kind of service related type professions. So the hotel has been a great one. We have students who are interested in cooking, interested in animal sciences, not pictured here, but we've got the small vet clinic is one of our other internship sites, the gardens, Texas A&M gardens. And so more and more we're getting all around campus. And now that we have juniors, we're starting to think about where can they go out off campus as well. So we've started to do a couple. We have a student working at I Heart Mac and Cheese now in College Station. Another student who's going to be working with the judge and Brian. So all different opportunities. Some of these just develop organically through our community partnerships. And we also have students who drive that process through person-centered planning, learning about the things they want to do. We try to reach out. Who do we know that can make this happen? So the employment preparation, they're gradually spending more and more time in those internship settings. 90% of our internships right now are paid internships. So they are student workers or employees of whatever that setting is. And our goal is that 100% of those will be paid, especially for year 4 when they're working in those part-time job settings that will eventually would turn into a long-term paid employment position. And so in a few weeks, we'll be hiring our job developer. She starts on October 1st, and this person will be specifically focused on identifying relevant employment opportunities that are aligned to where our students want to live. So she's going to start forming those relationships because next year we'll have seniors. So we'll be thinking about where they're going to be when they graduate. And that person will really help us make those connections outside of campus and outside of Bryan College Station. Next slide. And briefly, I just want to talk about one of the coolest parts of our program, which is the Achievemates. That is the peer mentor organization comprised of Texas A&M students, undergrads and graduate students who volunteer their time as Achievemates. And as you can see from this picture, we have more than 100 Aggie Achievemates right now from all across disciplines, all across majors. And they provide the majority of support for our students. So we have students who help in all areas. We have academic mentors. Those are the ones that attend study halls and help focus on their coursework and in general, more things like time management, things that they need to do to encourage good study habits, like going to the writing center, things like that. We have lunch and dinner partners who focus on social skills and healthy eating. We have wellness partners who go to the gym or go work out or just even go for a walk, someone to practice safe exercise and wellness with. We also have daily planners. These are people who help with time management, planning, emails, checking emails, staying on top of assignments, coming up with a grocery list for the week. More of those like life organizational things to support our students in those areas. And then lastly, just because we had so much interest to be Achievemates, we developed a position called Members at Large. These are people who don't have an assigned role, but are still part of our student circle. So the pictures in here, the colors represent the different circles. This was from our first year. So we only had 5 students, 5 different colors, but each student has their own circle of support. And within that circle, they have individualized support from all these Achievemates. Next slide. Okay, so I encourage you to stay in touch with us. Our applications for fall of 2022 are going to be posted on October 1st on our website. So follow our website and you could sign up for our newsletter there. We just had a newsletter go out today with a lot of updates and information. So you can check out our social media page as well. And I'll put my email in the chat in just a moment here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carly. Thank y'all. Thank you to all of our presenters today. We appreciate you taking the time to share your projects, and we certainly enjoyed learning your different scopes and how you're able to support and serve students here in Texas. So I want to open it up. If people have questions, you can feel free to raise your hand or to send a question in the chat function. I'd be happy to read it, or take yourself off mute while you have the program directors and coordinators here to answer any questions. We have lots of well done. This was awesome. Thank you so much. Which I can certainly echo. I would want to encourage everyone to continue to scroll through the chat function. Make sure you have everyone's email addresses, the websites. Christy, would you mind sharing the website for the Accessibility in Aggie Land webinar series? I want to make sure that you all have that link, because this is where we're going to be posting the slides for today, as well as the webinar link, the recording. So if you have families that if they're interested in Texas A&M and the programs that we have here, we'd love it if you would share this this link with them. We have the PowerPoints from all of our presenters with their contact information, the information that they shared today. We'd love it if you would share those with your communities, with your students. Our program directors and coordinators here love their jobs. They love what they're doing, and they would be more than happy to talk with you if you have further questions. So I'd encourage you to reach out.
I will say too, if somehow you don't find them on Google and you forget all this information, if you email disability@tamu.edu, we'll get you to the right place. So we get questions a lot about their programs, and we always forward them on. We have their websites, we have all of that. So if you don't remember how to access any of this, just put disability and we'll get you where you need to go. So we love these programs and are really thankful they're here, and we're happy to help make sure that you have their information.
Thank you, Christy. Well, if there's not any more questions, I would very much appreciate if y'all would take a minute to complete a survey. Your input is what helps us make these surveys what they are. We love feedback, whether it's good, bad. We'd love to hear any thoughts that you have, any ideas for future webinars. We want to be here to promote accessibility and talk about accessibility and inclusion, not only on the Texas A&M campus, but in Aggie Land. And we assume that Aggie Land is all over, because we have Aggies all over the place. So we're so proud of these programs. I'm so proud of the work that the coordinators and directors have done. This is incredible to have 4 outstanding programs available for students here in Texas and beyond. So again, thank you all for your time today. We appreciate you and your interest in what we're doing here on Texas A&M campus.
Megan, did you do a promo for our next month's program? Did you?
No, will you do it, Christy?
Yeah. So just real quick, next month, Wednesday, October 20th, we'll have Dr. Laura Stow talking about disaster and disability. Really great information about being prepared and some of the inequities that we see when there is a disaster, and the things that impact disabled individuals more so than the rest of us. And so good information. And also if you have a disability yourself, or someone in your family, someone you love, or someone that you know that could benefit from that information, I think that's going to be really helpful information. She is an expert in that field. And so we're just really excited to bring her to this Accessibility in Aggie Land series.
Yes. Thank you so much, Christy. All right. Well, I will stop recording now, and I appreciate again y'all's time. Thank you for being here. Again, check our website, Accessibility in Aggie Land, and we will have the recording posted shortly, perhaps by tomorrow or Friday, and as well as the upload of all of the PowerPoints and contact information of our presenters. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Dr.
Megan.
Horsag.
Yes.